Um, and we're live. Hello and welcome to another Exosphere Hangout. Today I'm being joined by Matthew Brimer and Brad Hargreaves from General Assembly. Established in early 2011 as an innovative community in New York City for entrepreneurs and startup companies, General Assembly is an educational institution that transforms thinkers into creators through education in technology, business, and design at 9 campuses across 4 continents. Matthew, Brad, thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
Good. What you guys have done since you started, it's really, really impressive. And I thought the right point, the right place to start was in the beginning. What I'm really curious about what problem you saw in that you said, okay, we need to start this. We need to create this, worldwide community. Maybe I'm sure that was not the first step, but we need to create General Assembly. And what is the problem that you're trying to solve? And how did it start? And Brad, maybe you can go first.
Sure. So at the very beginning, General Assembly looked quite different. Matt actually was the first to start playing around with the idea, really, of building a community hub around technology, business, and design, and a lot of the people who were in those interesting communities. Matt, you want to talk a little bit about the initial membership community and some of the things that got our start?
Sure. So, I would say General Assembly really began around the idea to kind of pull together the growing and burgeoning ecosystem of technology, design, and entrepreneurship in New York City, and to create a physical place for that community to come together and really do 3 things. One is share ideas. Second is collaborate with each other, and then the third is learn from each other. And we were seeing, the kind of post-recession New York, we were seeing a lot of people coming out of different industries, starting to pursue entrepreneurial careers, starting to realize that they needed to take their own careers into their own hands more, and kind of develop their own skill sets, develop their own pathways to success, and not just rely on traditional corporate tracks or more traditional job paths to find meaning and success in their life. And so we wanted to create a place that could bring all those people together and to give them the resources, the opportunities, the social interaction, the community, and the kind of collaborative pursuits, so that they can pursue their dreams, really, and start companies, learn a new skill, come together, be a part of a community. And we started General Assembly, really started building the community all throughout 2010. Ended up signing a lease and doing construction in the fall and winter of 2010, and then launched in 2011 as a place that could provide professional collaboration, social interaction, and educational opportunities for anyone, whether they were in tech or not, who was interested in this kind of new world, right? This kind of 21st century economy. And once we get started and really launched with a co-working community of almost 100 early-stage startups. We handpicked these companies. It's kind of an invite-only membership program. We decided not to be an incubator, not to be an accelerator. We didn't take any equity from any of these startups. We didn't make any investments. The whole idea was not to be an investment vehicle, but more to focus on being a community and kind of to create as much serendipity and interaction as possible between all of these different entrepreneurs and innovators and creators. And once we did that, and once we get started, we realized that a lot of people were coming to us looking for skills, not only to start companies, but just looking to get into tech, looking to get into design, looking to get into entrepreneurship. And they realized that that a college degree wasn't enough to provide everything that they wanted to learn. And so we really started doing a lot of events and hosting a lot of programs and kind of trying out a new kind of educational model, which Brad can speak to, which was really focused on learning from practitioners, focused on really kind of tangible, practical, almost vocational skills that, again, was not really to be found in traditional higher educational institutions, but that people were demanding, and we're finding that we could start to provide.
Yeah.
learning vocational skills. That's fascinating. Yeah, please go ahead.
No,
This part is, anything has to do with education and how we learn. I'm fascinated by it.
yeah, I was just going to build on that and say one of the biggest things we realized is that there was this gap between the skills that were required by this new generation of companies that were really innovating within these legacy industry categories here in New York City, but also in other major metro areas, not just in the US, but around the world, and the skills that students were graduating with from universities. So, and it wasn't a huge gap. I mean, the level of user experience design background that someone who had come out of a good university needed, wasn't a 2-year MFA program. It was really 12 weeks of very intensive study and practical learning. And when we tied that in with instruction coming from not academics, but from real practitioners who understood the things that were needed to succeed as a web designer, as a digital marketer, as a product manager in these companies, as we were able to tie that in with the real skills that were needed and combine that with practical education, we were able to create something that was really transformative to these students, and we were able to place them into jobs and positions at not just early stage companies, but companies across the development cycle. So one of our first graduates was hired by American Express because they were looking to innovate across their core product areas and looking to appeal to small businesses. And really having someone who can rapidly prototype and quickly develop, who understands the way startups work and the way they move. That's interesting not just to young companies, but to agencies, to Fortune 500s, to companies throughout their development cycles. So that's one of the things we've really noticed as we've grown and as we've developed our educational offerings in a variety of cities and in a diversity of topic areas.
This is, to me, well, first of all, I congratulate you guys for the mission. I think this is you're sort of tapping on a very modern problem, and at the right time, which is it seems that people, more than ever, they cannot stop learning after they graduate from college. And the reason is because the world is ultra competitive, the world changes really fast. So these platforms like General Assembly, where they can sort of keep upgrading, keep updating themselves. I mean, Exosphere for us is the same thing. I mean, that we pursue something similar in Latin America, which is this idea of like, listen, when you're done, there's new little pieces you need to keep acquiring. There's new little new skills that you need, new people you need to meet, and those that kind of grasp this new problem, which is I need to keep reinventing myself professionally. I need to keep this process going so I can respond to today's demands appropriately. Those will have the best opportunities, right? I think this the way you guys are doing it makes a lot of sense to me, and I do like that you said this 21st century economy, because this is the real point is when people say, well, but I'm not learning, because I'm sure maybe at some point you guys must have heard someone saying, well, maybe, but that's do you offer what about the credentials, or what about the 4-year? Like they compare it with a more traditional platform, and I think that's really missing the point. The point is that we can't expect those traditional, more outdated systems to respond to the 21st century economy, and that's why things like General Assembly comes to life. How does what does a day-to-day of General Assembly look like? If I were to sit down in at a corner and look at one of the campuses, what's going on there? What do I see?
Vaguely organized chaos. It's one of the things that's so important to us is the community, and the community is really the lifeblood of what we do. And here in New York, it's interesting and unique because it's our headquarters as well as an educational campus. But if you were to go into any other market, it looks and feels very much the same. You have students who are going to and from their courses, or to and from breaks. And you also have, and this is what's really interesting, is you have a lot of students here that are sitting out on the table, like on the long tables. Every one of our campuses has a big, long communal table. It's one of the hallmarks of GA. And you'll have students working at that table on a variety of projects, because so much of our work, as I mentioned earlier, so much of the classwork is project-based. So it's not about sitting in a classroom and being lectured at. There are classroom times, the times of which are usually pretty interactive and about understanding what's going on and about asking questions and about interacting with the instructor. But there's also, most of the time, it's about working on projects. It's about, if you're learning to code, it's about pairing. It's about sitting down with someone who is 1 or 2 steps better than you are, more experienced in a certain thing, and working on something in collaboration. Because it's not just about learning how to do the skills, it's also about learning how to work with people and how to work within teams. When we ask our employers what they want to hire for, yeah, they'll give us, a list of skills and a list of prerequisites, but a lot of the time they spend talking about what they're looking for is about those soft skills. It's about ability to collaborate on teams. It's about the ability to translate strategy into execution. It's about being able to work well with others. There's just a ton of stuff that the environment we're fostering is about. It's about more than learning skills, although learning skills is a necessary piece of it.
Well, because I guess soft skills are sort of who we are, and who we are is the hardest thing to change or learn in a more passive format. So the community, this makes a lot of sense to me. There's this quote by Reid Hoffman: if you want to change yourself, you need to surround yourself with the people that are already the way you want to be, right? So creating this sort of system so people can spend time with people, with like-minded people. That is fantastic. And Matthew, how do you guys communicate this or foster this sort of how do you sustain this community? I mean, do you get a lot of people coming in and out, or do people, once they join, they kind of want to hang around and do things that go beyond just skill learning or project building?
Yeah, I mean, so look, there's a lot of different things. I mean, we've been building community and focusing on community, as Brad said, is like the core kind of lifeblood of what we do at GA, and we've been doing that ever since we began. So that means both in person, offline, and also online interactions as well. So we're building community tools and student profiles in different ways for our students to interact with each other online. We have a global Facebook group of all of our alumni so that they can connect and share opportunities, share jobs, hopefully even meet up with each other when they're traveling in different towns. We do a lot of events. We do a lot of, every week we have a happy hour at all of our campuses, so people can kind of, let go, throw back a beer, and actually just talk and kind of be people together.
Right.
We did a couple of events at South by Southwest this year that I think were kind of a good testament to the community that we're building and the importance of that. So, we had a big dinner where we brought together all of our alumni from any of our campuses, of these alumni who were actually in Austin for South by Southwest, and most of these people had never met each other because they had graduated from courses in General Assembly in LA or San Francisco or New York or somewhere else. And so this was an opportunity for all of them to really get together and meet each other. And it was fun to see, over the course of that evening and the next days, just how much they stayed in touch. They traded numbers. All these different alumni were, dancing together at the General Assembly party that evening. They were going out for brunch the next day, really connecting, because they had that that shared mindset, that shared background. Everyone knew that they were part of the General Assembly family, and so we try to foster that as much as possible.
How many people are right now, if you have to quantify the community in the world of General Assembly, how many people are you guys, rough numbers?
It's tricky to think about that like that, because there are so many people who are at various stages of connecting with the community. I mean, there are people who are just coming by who want to dip their toe in and take a one-off class. There are other people.
Which I'm guessing is very valuable. I'm guessing that the fact that not everyone's doing the same thing, the fact that you have that sort of
Totally.
people bringing
People are at completely different stages of their learning journey, and that's a beautiful thing. It also makes it really hard to count. So I would say, I mean, if you're looking at the campus in, New York at any given time, between the 40,000 square feet we have, there are probably a couple hundred people coming through at one place or another.
Right.
And multiply that across 10 cities around the world. Obviously, not all those cities are as big as New York, but it's certainly probably well over 1,000 people at any one time at a GA campus.
Right. Wow, that is incredible. And
one way we do think about it is we'll have 11,000 alumni by the end of the year of our long form programs. So programs that are over at least 10 to 12 weeks long. We'll have over 11,000 alumni of those programs.
That's absolutely incredible. I mean, so the fact that so many people. I mean, so this is just. I'm interested in what kind of people go to General Assembly? I mean, sure, we talked about people that need a skill, but what do you see as sort of a personality-wise, or goals-wise? What kind of people are interested in joining this and going through some of your programs or the startups?
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak to it a little bit, and then Matt can add whatever he wants. I mean, there are a few major categories. I think the biggest are people who want to meaningfully change their career. So people who are, maybe graduated from school, 2 to 10 years ago, and haven't really found the right career path for them yet, but are looking at digital marketing or web development or user experience design as those paths to really transform themselves and transform their career trajectory. So career changers are really category number one. Number two are really people who are already in a job, they're already in a career path they like, but are looking to level up in their role. So say, for instance, someone who is a graphic designer who wants to be able to translate their designs into HTML and CSS, so they're not just producing a static Photoshop file at the end, but they're actually producing a complete wireframe. So that's another large category of people who really want to add a complement to their skill set. And then the third are entrepreneurs, people who know that by having some formal skill in product management or being able to code or being able to really design great user experiences, that they'll be able to more quickly get their product to market or make sure it's more successful once it's there. So those are really the three categories of people that I see, at least.
Got it. So I would say, but from those three categories, it seems like it's proactive, ambitious, curious people.
Absolutely. Matt, do you have any other words to describe the type of people who come through GA?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's people who take or are interested in taking an entrepreneurial approach to their life and their career. It's not just about people who want to start a company right now and kind of do that lifestyle, but it's people who realize that that their career is kind of up to them, and that there's not some predefined track or predefined notion of, okay, you have to do this, and then this, and then this, and then build your resume this way and everything. But it's the kind of realization that we're all here to create stuff in the world that matters, and to follow your passions and pursue stuff that has purpose and meaning. And it's those kind of people who I think come with that in mind and with that as with that on the horizon. And then we help empower and accelerate them and give them the skills that they need to actually pursue work they love. We use that sense a lot just to kind of define what it is that GA does.
Right. Let me ask you, because you just said something interesting about creation, and the tagline, if I know correctly, of General Assembly is you transform thinkers into creators. That was to me was really powerful because I appreciate the creation, the creative spirit. But I think there, correct me if I'm wrong, but there seems to be something else in that when you're saying transform thinkers, which is a lot of people kind of get stuck on the thinking, right? And they don't get into the creation part. And what is that like? What do you guys mean by transforming thinkers into creators? And what was the origin, I guess, of that? What is the meaning behind that message?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I don't know if there's a deeper meaning behind it other than empowering people to have the tools and have the skills that they need to pursue work they love. There's I don't want to get too philosophical about it because for the people in the community, it's very, very straightforward and very, very important. Right. So we try to speak in as plain language as possible about, hey, someone out there has a vision or has a dream of what they want to pursue, and it's our job to kind of give them the tools to pursue that. So I think we try to speak as plainly as possible and not hide too much behind our words. But it's creators. You could think of them in a variety of ways. You can think of people who are creating in a variety of situations, whether they're designers, developers, marketers, PMs. But we look at creation as a pretty powerful concept when you're looking at new skill sets and what's going to be required in the 21st century, and that's what we're enabling.
Let me correct me if I'm wrong here in my intuition, but because I see a lot of this in our indexer community, which is the skills help a lot, the tools are there. You can give someone at their home, hey, here are all the tools and all the skills and all the content, all the information. Then nothing happens. So sometimes they keep thinking. But then you put those people in a group, in a community where they look around, they look to their sides. It's like, oh my God, these people are doing all these things, and then there's the magic. So my guess is the part that gets them from thinkers into creators is you need the tools, but it's the community and the fact that they're not alone and crazy in wanting to grow. What they find in general. Right.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the biggest criticisms of the MOOC model is that dropouts are so high and
exactly.
Course completion is so low. And I think one of the reasons is that there's no true community in many of those courses. And if I think we've been able to build this very tight offline community in our campuses that does span all 10 of our global locations. And that's very powerful when it comes to keeping people engaged and knowing that they have skin in the game when it comes to finishing one of their programs.
Right. That's great. And I want to start running it up with two questions. One for you, Matthew. You guys have grown immensely in the last since you started. Forward, I don't know if what some people believe in 1 year, some people believe in looking 5 years ahead or maybe 50. Whatever it is, what is in the future of General Assembly as you're looking forward to growing and keep growing and keep doing what you guys are doing? What is the goal? What is the vision?
The vision for General Assembly.
Yes.
Well, I mean, as we said, what General Assembly is all about, creating a community of people empowered to pursue work they love, and if I had to boil it down to a sentence, that's it. It's about building a new kind of global educational institution that is focused on giving people tangible, practical skills in emerging areas that kind of drive the 21st century economy. It's about immersing our students and our the people that we touch, the lives that we touch, into a really supportive community of fellow creators and practitioners and entrepreneurs and doers, so that everyone can kind of support each other and help guide and move each other forward. It's not just about what you know; it's also about who you know, right? That's the kind of common thing, and so we want to provide both, right? It's skills. It's about community, and then third, it's really about opportunity. It's about connecting people with opportunities, jobs, funding, connections, apprenticeships, whatever it might be that they can that really kind of move people's lives and careers forward. And if we can do all three of those things, provide skills, community, and opportunity, across the world for millions of people. Over the coming decades, which we aspire to be around, for decades to come. We have a very long-term view on what we're building. And if we can do that, I think we'll be doing something pretty positive for the world. And it makes me happy to come to work every day and to know that quite literally, our jobs are to transform people's lives for the better. And it's hard to imagine doing anything better than that.
That sounds absolutely very inspiring, and it's a really powerful message, and I do believe that what you guys are doing is very important, and encourage you to keep going, and keep creating those platforms for people to connect and people to empower their careers, reinvent their careers, and find the new opportunities so they can keep creating and pursuing their vocation. So one last question, and this is not about General Assembly, but both of you gave a TEDx talk together actually at Yale about the necessity of failure. And I wanted to just quickly, what is that you mean by that? Maybe Matthew, you can start. What is that we all need to fail at, and why?
Sure. So that was a TEDx talk that Brad and I did a couple years ago, maybe like 2 years ago. And really it was kind of sharing some of our entrepreneurial stories and lessons learned from previous entrepreneurial ventures, some more successful than others. But really, it's about this idea that if you always avoid failure, you can never really learn what you're good at nor what you suck at. It's going through a failure, especially as an entrepreneur, is I think vital to understanding your own shortcomings, figuring out what works, what doesn't. Being able to realize that entrepreneurship is a roller coaster, and that your career is going to have its ups and downs, life is going to have its ups and downs, and you need to be kind of committed enough and have the wherewithal and the internal motivation and tenacity to kind of keep moving forward and make it through the rough times. Because if you've never had a failure, then you're not really going to enjoy the taste of true success. You look at some of the most successful entrepreneurs out there, and a lot of them have had failures in their past. People don't like to talk about that a lot because failures aren't as exciting and aren't as kind of sexy, but they're necessary, I think, for building something successful, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. Brad, anything to add to that?
No, very well said.
It's absolutely fantastic, and I do like that it's not you're not just saying you're going to fail, so you have to deal with it. You're actually saying you need to. It's something you have to go through to understand the other side. And you can have there's two sides of the same coin. And I do believe that I do agree with you that people that have those that have been through, well, we say a lot here in Exosphere, we've been through the shit. They also can show you a much and lead with a much better example of what it takes to succeed. Those words, Matthew, I think are great to round up this. I want to, Brad, Matthew, thank you a lot for both for your time, to both of you. I know you guys are doing incredible things, and we'll keep spreading the word what you guys are doing from here at Exosphere. Thanks for the mission, and keep going forward.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Matthew. We'll talk soon.